Okay, hello, welcome, and thanks very much for joining us today for this webinar. I'm Danielle, you can see me on the right there. I'm one of the account directors here at Clarksville, and I'm here today with my colleague and overall intranet superstar enthusiast, Sarah Blackburn.
Hello.
And we're here to talk to you about how we, as Clarksville, approach designing, building, and keeping the life in your intranet. I'll run through the agenda shortly in a bit more detail, but just before I do, I'd like to introduce you to us and tell you a bit more about our company, Clarksville. So Clarksville are a full-service digital agency, and we offer web and intranet services, but we specialise in Office 365 and digital workplace solutions. For a number of years now, we've had our own intranet in a box product called EasyShare, which has, in its many versions since its first release in 2011, been trusted by lots of clients, both in the UK and in Europe and globally as well, such as the names you can see on this slide here. So Ministry of Defence, Mighty, DEFRA and the NHS. As you can see, the customers span quite a wide range of sectors, both public and private sector, legal, professional services, finance, construction, retail, the list goes on. So we've got quite a breadth of knowledge about lots of different industries and the various peculiarities that form how those businesses like to communicate with their employees. So quickly onto our agenda. After the intro about Clarksville, so now we'll be talking about our intranet methodology, and Sarah's going to talk through the 6 steps to success, which is the kind of usual process that we follow on new intranet projects. And then I'll round up just by telling you a little bit about a free consultancy offer that we would like to offer you today. So hopefully there is something here for everybody. We've got lots of years of knowledge and have spent that time perfecting what we do. So it'd be great to share it with you today, give you some of our best-in-class tips on how to approach those different phases of the intranet build. I'll be throwing in some questions on your behalf to try and address the common challenges that our customers face. And hopefully, whether you're just starting out on your internet journey and doing some research into how to go about it, or if you're looking for ideas on how to raise the bar for your company, you'll come away with some valuable insights and plenty of food for thought. So thanks for joining, and let's get stuck in. Sarah, take it away.
I'm going to talk you through Clarksville's intranet methodology for a successful intranet. I'm using the word intranet here, but you could be calling it your digital workspace, your portal. Different organisations use different words for what is essentially the same thing. What you see on screen here is a simplified version of our methodology. It starts with the first step, which is about user experience, where we look at what people need and where should you put it. The next one is about the content, so who creates it and who builds it. Step 3 is all about the branding. What should the new site or portal look like? What sort of theme are you projecting to your organisation? So that's the colours, the logos, icons, photography and so on that make it really feel like it's a part of your organisation. Step 4 is about the technology. So who's going to take care of the platform? How does it interact with the other things? The pink stream, the user adoption, is how you engage with your people, the intranet champions who work with you to help the new portal or intranet get embedded into your organisation. And step 6 is all about the governance. So who looks after it? What processes are required in order to make it work within your organisation? So that's our simplified view. And what I'm going to show you now is the methodologies that we use with our clients as we go through a new intranet project. So we use this slide that I'm showing you now in our kickoff meetings. And there is lots of detail in this slide. So I'm not expecting you to take in all of this right now. I'm just going to show you through a good section of what's there. Okay, so the first thing to remember is that things will happen at the same time in different parts of the business. So that's why it turns into this stream format. So broadly, we're going to get that green user experience stuff happening at the beginning of the project, and the sort of the pink stuff will happen towards the middle and the end of the project, but any of those things might happen at any particular time. And what we do with this is make sure that we're avoiding any unpleasant surprises later on in the project. So as I mentioned, we have this in our kickoff meetings, and it really helps us to drive through what people are going to do and which part of the project they're going to be involved in.
Thanks, Sarah. So if people are wondering what kind of resources they might need going into this process, and particularly for a kickoff meeting, who would you expect to attend such a meeting?
Sure. So we really like to work with the stakeholders at the beginning of the project, and that varies from organisation to organisation. It might include communications, human resources, IT, operations, and there might be a different spread for every organisation. But that's what kickoff is for. If we haven't got the right person in the room to complete or to delegate a particular task, then it becomes a meeting action to go and find them and get the task done. So we've divided the tiles up into streams, one for each of those task groups that I showed you on the previous slide. And as you can see by the layout, they don't all have to happen in turn. Each thing could happen in chunks. So the research and information architecture work on the homepage could happen first, and then someone could go on and start preparing, excuse me, start preparing the content for that section and getting that built out in the system, so that you can go on and start to do the research section for one of the other parts of the project. You can see that each of these tiles lists the description of the task, the details of what that task might include, and who might get involved in doing that.
So that seems like quite a lot of work. So if customers maybe are looking at this and thinking, that seems like a lot of people and time involved in this particular methodology, and they're actually working with quite a small budget, how can we reduce costs for them?
Sure. So there's a lot of flexibility. Each one of these squares represents some level of choice. So each organisation will need to choose based on their need, their budget, their capability, how much energy they can devote to each task. So if we take that first research and requirements task, you can see lots of different ways to achieve that objective. Some organisations might already have done a lot of this work before finding a technology partner like Clarksville. Others, like some of the multinationals we've worked with, might want to spend weeks or even months getting this phase right. But some of our clients, our smaller clients, would want to work in a much more agile way. So they might get it done quickly with a strong group of stakeholders in a single workshop session. So you can see that there's a lot of flexibility even within that one tile there. So the other thing is that our methodology is there for you to understand what needs to be done. We might not get involved with all of the tasks, but we help you to understand each one and to guide you towards completing it. So within that kickoff meeting, you can see where the pitfalls might be, and we can talk to you in a little bit more detail about those specific pitfalls for your organisation. In that green research section, it's completely technology agnostic. It's about finding and then solving business processes rather than grappling with the software. That second block, the feature gap analysis, is about working out the gap between what you need to solve the problem and what you have in your existing software. And that tells you what you're going to be able to do out of the box by choosing the features, configuring them, and entering content to make it yours. And then anything that doesn't come out of the box, then you've got a choice to make. Can you build it? Can you buy it? Or could you just live without it? So that gives you that flexibility for every type of organisation, big or small budget. The UX and IA modelling section is all about building something that looks and feels like the intranet so that you can use it to help persuade people about what you're trying to do. Sometimes that's done using a modelling tool, and sometimes it's about building a few pages in the new system, depending on where you are within the process. So if you haven't chosen a piece of software, then you can't build pages in it. But if you've already got it in there, then it makes much more sense to build a couple of pages than it does to build out a model that then you'll have to rebuild pages later on. The EasyShare software and SharePoint Online are both really strong for creating those sorts of quick and easy pages. Then the next blue stream is all about your content. This is really what makes your intranet come to life. The words, the pictures, the data from your organization. That first part is about working out what you need based on your wish list, which you created there in your green user experience section. And the next step is to work out what the gap is between those two. See, similar to the feature gap analysis, this is going to tell you how much work you've got to do. So how much of the content do you have already? What can you afford to go out and get built? So do you need copywriters? Do you need to get people on board around the organization? And which things could you live without at this stage in the process? Creating new content is usually cheaper than getting new software or new bits of software built, but it still requires a person to do it. So sometimes your content's in great shape and you're just moving from one technology to another, perhaps for a licensing or a cost reason, or because the technology is going to give you new options in the future. This is a good point to engage people around the business in what you're trying to do. It can also vary depending on the other parts of the project. If that new software is available, then you might be starting to enter content straight into the system. If not, it might be creating documents that are prepared in readiness for other things happening. The rest of the tasks in this stream are all around ensuring that the content gets entered properly, that it gets checked so that it's fully fleshed for go live. Again, this can really vary across clients. Some of our successful intranets have very few pages of content, but are functionally rich. So, for instance, tailored links to other business software, interactive forms to streamline processes, or dynamic content being pulled from document libraries or content stores such as news articles. All of that based on meta tagging to ensure the relevance to that particular page. And one important point about this stream is that it really doesn't stop with the launch phase. Business as usual is about generating more content and refining what's there to ensure relevancy.
So we've kind of covered what we would do in a building from scratch scenario, or maybe moving from one technology to another. What's the quickest migration project that we've done, Sarah? So, for example, some of our listeners might have a directive to get a new intranet in very quickly. And so anything they can do themselves to speed up this process would probably be good to know.
Sure. I think our very quickest from start to launch was about 3 weeks. So Aston Villa just wanted to be live within a month. And they had 3 core things that helped that to happen. First was the tight deadline had come from the top of the organisation. So there was a real drive to get that done. So, and that drove the second thing was that people resources around the organisation were found. So almost everybody at some point found tools from their day job to help with the preparation. That's not always practical for all organisations. And the third thing was that they kept their scope really tight. So as we went through the project, people were saying, wouldn't it be good if, and people said, no, we're going to get this live. So they had a small number of pages and they planned to build more stuff later on. So it's important to remember that you've got that business as usual. You're not tied to what you build in the first phase. We've done migrations into new software in very similar timescales for other organisations. I think Aston Villa just beats it as the quickest. But what almost always takes the longest time in any of these projects is this blue stream of content preparation, migration and entry. So moving on to the orange stream. So this is all about the branding. This is how it makes your intranet feel like yours. The look and feel, the colours, the imagery, it really brings your intranet to life. It makes it feel like it's a part of your organisation, but also can be an opportunity for you to reflect your internal persona. It can be more relaxed and fun than your corporate website, because this is an opportunity to send out a new message to your employees. As with other phases, organisations really vary in the amount of time that they spend on these tasks. Sometimes it's quick, it's here's our hex colours, our logo and some sample images, and it's done. Another time it's a much more formal process. So I've listed out here the design brief, concepts, implementing, so it can kind of take a much more formal process to do that. Clarksville can get involved with any of those things that I've talked about. So we can draw up design concepts, and we can talk to you about how you would make it feel. So moving on to the technology stream. So this is the teal one here. And technology is about the platform. It's about making sure it's in the right shape, that it talks into other business systems in the right way. So usually that's about how people are going to access the new site, their profile, and the actual platform and the maintenance of that platform and how that gets done. So particularly looking at SharePoint and SharePoint Online, we've got a number of different tasks that you can do here, but you could write equivalent things no matter what platform you choose. It's that sense of looking after the software and whatever that needs to do. So that might be licensing and support and ensuring that it's all maintained in the right way. Okay. And then the next stream is our pink one. This is the people one. This is about the adoption and engagement. It's about communicating with the people who are going to use the new site or system, giving them a clear message about what's changing, why it's changing, and sometimes why it isn't changing. It's really essential to ensure that people don't expect the wrong thing. We should remember that people's attitude towards new things and their effective adoption of the new can really vary. From the quick update adopters who will pick up the new with little effort, to the middle ground where a bit more effort and communication is necessary, to a smaller group of people where anything that is new is going to be really detrimental to their jobs. And this variation can be made better or worse by your communication. So making sure the communication's good and targeted, and also ensuring that there are support opportunities for the most compromised people. So that's why it's really important to go through this launch planning phase. So we're not just planning what's going to be in the intranet, we're planning how we're going to launch it, how it's going to be available to different people. And sometimes that's a phased approach around the organisation, released to a smaller group of people first. And timing is always going to be really important. No one in retail is going to launch a brand new intranet in October to January because it's going to be their really busy period. But September is such a good turnaround time for education that's often the best time to launch a new intranet or portal. Planning also allows you to shape the other tasks in the stream. So how you're going to get champions involved, so and the ways that they might be able to help you. So they might be able to do some content checking and testing. They might even get involved in writing or being an advocate within their team for what's going to happen within the new system. And you can really ensure that the business can support them both with time resourcing and effective training so that they can support your project. So, and from Clarksville, that might be that we deliver you a range of different things. So we can do online training, A4 desk poster handouts, quick tip videos, and we work with you to ensure that the right skills are transferred directly to the right person.
So all of the activities that you've told us about, Sarah, I would expect that some people in the audience today might already have some of these expertise to carry those out in-house, and maybe only need our help on certain things like the technical, the technology stream, or particularly around training or the user adoption and engagement. So where their kind of skill set has gaps. So we can offer those services in isolation. I think we've done that many times before, haven't we, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely, Danielle. Clarksville can help you with as much or as little of these tasks. And that's often what we do within the kickoff meeting. Is we might say we've got a pot of time. So a client might have bought a set number of days from us, and we portion that out within the kickoff meeting. And the methodology is really there to ensure that you're aware of everything that needs to be done and how we can best help you to get to the right thing. Because at the end of the day, our objective is that you have a successful intranet that fits to your organization. And we find that each department might have a different perspective on why the new intranet's good. So that sort of targeted and tailored messaging from the local source is really effective. HR might be excited that they can now present self-service forms. Facilities might be really thrilled that they can upload a photo, or their users can upload a photo of a trip hazard. And comms is really delighted that they've got this new polling feature that they can use. So intranets are not just a thing. They're something that can enhance your business process and enrich the employee experience at work. Effective launching and embedding that into the business means that whatever you've invested time in building becomes the right thing for the business. The final part of this user engagement stream reflects the fact that your intranets are ever engaging, ever evolving. So they're not there to be static. So intranets don't have to be launched in one big bang phase. Which can be difficult to schedule anyway. So it can be effective to launch a small part and then move on. It's going to lead you into being able to plan and launch new sections and new features in the future. So if you've done a small thing really well, people are going to get behind you and allow you to move on to a new thing in the future.
I think that's a really interesting point, and probably quite a common one that we hear is that a lot of our customers come to us for a rebuild of the intranet, complaining that one of the big problems is that content is really outdated, it's really difficult to find, but moreover that they just struggle to keep content relevant. So how can we help make sure that the intranet continues to live and breathe?
Sure. I mean, those things that I was just talking about that targeted communication and getting your champions involved, that's really, really important. So you're not just delivering new software, you're delivering something that people are going to use and find helpful in their day-to-day jobs. And then the good practice things about sort of having automated processes such as content review prompts. So those things are really there to help prevent getting the content getting stale in the future. So which leads us on to the final stream, which is the yellow one, which is all about governance and management. This is about structure. It's about like your belt and braces. It's about making sure that you get the right fit for your business, where some cultures would require a really robust process that needs to be followed at all times. So it gets passed from proofreader A to proofreader B to approver C, and that's how that business approaches things. And other people will have a much looser, more flexible approach. So we're about making sure that we get that governance to fit to your organization. And obviously every system has different ways that you can tailor the system to ensure that that governance is embedded into the system.
Well, thank you. That was quite a whistle-stop tour of the methodology. A final question from me for you, Sarah, is based on your experience and conversations with customers you've had this year and things you've heard at Intranet events, etc. What do you think are the key trends to look out for in 2020?
Sure. I think lots of smaller organizations are going to go out of the box with SharePoint or online. The features that Microsoft are bringing in are really, really robust. They've really taken a lot of the things that the Intranet in a Box products had brought into SharePoint. Microsoft have put those into SharePoint itself, and so you can build really engaging, lovely intranet pages completely out of the box. Microsoft Teams is definitely going to grow that sort of that sense of collaboration. So people doing their day-to-day work, not necessarily so much in Outlook, but working much more collaboratively with conversations within Teams. And I think that ways that you can get your intranet style content, so whether that's news and policies and things like that, getting those things into Teams and vice versa, getting any Teams content back out into your intranet space is going to be a really key challenge.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you. Well, thanks for sharing all of that and covering what is quite a complex methodology, actually, in such a short time. So just to wrap up, we will be sending round a link to this recording so that you can distribute it or listen to it on your Friday evening. It'll also be on our YouTube channel, and we'd really love for you to get in touch. We're really approachable. And as you can see on the slide now, we're actually offering a free consultancy offer as we kind of wind down to Christmas, which is a really great opportunity to speak to one of our intranet specialists like Sarah about anything you'd like, really, how to go about building your new intranet, whether an intranet in a box or an out-of-the-box solution is right for your business, ideas to increase adoption or engagement on your existing intranet, Office 365 consultancy. So if you're thinking about rolling out teams and you're a bit stuck with the strategy and how to kind of roll that out in an effective way, any migration work, that kind of thing, we'd love to help with. So if you would like to take us up on that, the format is that we'll spend a couple of hours doing some consultancy and talking to you and your stakeholders. And then we'll write up our recommendations into a report that will hopefully help build your business case and get you on your way to an award-winning intranet. We've got some great case studies that we'd be very happy to talk you through as well. The Phoenix Group won an award for theirs actually very recently. So I'd be happy to talk you through what we did for those guys. And finally, do get in touch about this offer, because it's not something that we're kind of advertising widely, or it's not on the website. So please give me a call or send us an email to the address there. So that's goodbye for now. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon.